Welcome to 500 Doors, your real estate podcast. To 500 Doors, I'm Kim Hayden, and I'm visiting with somebody from one of my favorite cities in the United States. It's one of the most transformable, adaptable, historical cities in the United States. It's right smack in the center, Chicago. We all love Chicago. Chicago. I think there's several. One of my favorite musicals is for Chicago. Rich, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am great. It's my kind of town.
Oh, we have had Rich and I literally the podcast recording will be shorter than our pre-recording conversation, and I think I'm going to have to book airline tickets because I'm thinking Rich is right in line. Like we could have either a we're going to get arrested or it will be memorable, but I'm sure it'll be one or two or both or all of it. I think we'll have a lot of fun. All right, so Rich, first tell us who you are. Like,
So,
what is this? And tell us about the yellow arrow behind you.
so I am Rich Aronson. I'm a lifelong Chicagoan. I'm an attorney by education and practice. I don't practice anymore. I've been in real estate as a broker for 26 years, as a developer for 31. The yellow arrow behind me is a prop from the movie The Green Lantern. If you watch the scene in the Green Lantern's apartment, Ryan Reynolds shows his friend that he has the suit and everything, and in the corner, there is a yellow arrow. This yellow arrow pointed to the ceiling. And I got this through a friend of mine who's a creative artist who works with people from movie sets and design. And I traded him a Biedermeier dresser that I inherited for it. So I thought it was a good get. It's awfully cool and it's unique,
It is awfully cool, and it's like
just
pointing.
like me.
It's pointing to you, saying, "Look, this is the guy." It caught my eye immediately. So let's go over, because you talked about investment, you talked about real estate. I never thought that I know back in the 80s, 70s and 80s, everybody was pushing all the kids, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be this, and you did that, and then you realize you didn't want to do it, and now you're doing something that's creative and cool. But I want you to talk about how your creativeness impacts the markets you serve. So you do residential, investment, you've got the
Commercial and development. I literally do what I consider the four stools of a chair of real estate. Those are the four areas. I really don't, I do a little leasing, my team does, but we don't do property management, that kind of stuff. Just the sale, the business end. Yeah, I have a degree in finance, and as an attorney, I bring more to the table than your average realtor in terms of knowledge and experience on zoning, on law. But I also do other things. I'm very involved in my community and have been. I've sat on various neighborhood boards. I just always have wanted to give back. It's part of my nature. I like to talk. I like to share. I like to learn from other people. I like to interact with people. I knew I loved real estate since I was a kid. I used to walk around construction sites near my house and imagine which rooms were going to be which. And then as a 6 or 7 year old kid. And then apparently, because I was aggressive or just, fearless, I would knock on the door of the house once it was built and introduce myself and be like, "Hi, my name is Ricky." When you're a kid, you were Ricky. I'm like, "Yeah, I live around the corner. I've watched the house being built. I've imagined the layout. Would you mind if I saw what the finished product was?" And people would let me in. I was obviously, you know, a cute
you're
little charming
completely
kid, but
harmless.
what 6 or 7 year old knocks on your door and asks to see would you give me a tour of your house?
Oh my God, you've got a whole new angle here on a real estate training model. Just because let's just unleash our
It's like
children and just go
McDonald's. I
door
get them while
knocking.
they're young. Exactly.
Well,
No,
it's
no, no.
funny because my 26-year-old is about to go into real estate full time, and there is a difference, folks, between full time and part time, and and I only put full time real estate agents on this show because you gotta walk the walk. You got to be able to know how to navigate the ups and the downs and the shifts and the change in laws, and you have to be able to take all that in. But my son,
Well, in real estate, is time is of the essence. How can
yeah,
you be timely if you're part time?
exactly. Exactly. And you know what? If you're dealing with somebody's absolute legacy, and that's what a lot of real estate is. That is that family's legacy.
Well, it's the
Shouldn't that
largest
be your
investment they're
yeah,
likely to
shouldn't it
make in
be,
their lifetime. Do you want somebody, do you go to a heart surgeon who's a part-time heart surgeon?
exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
unless he's the number one heart surgeon in the world and he only has office hours 2 days a week, you know what I mean? But that's not how I do real estate. I don't think that's how you can be successful in real
No,
estate. You
no.
literally need to be your own brand ambassador every minute of every day.
And I think a lot of the lawsuits, a lot of the questionable things that happen in real estate do happen around people who are not truly immersed daily into real estate. Like, we went through here in Canada what the United States is going through right now around like, how do we disclose buyers commissions? How do we do this? And the United States is grappling around that. We went through it in Canada in 2012, and it was our own competition board, our own government went against it. So they came after and they cracked down hard, and we had to realign all of it. And what that did was, in all reality, it helped kind of flush out some of those people. So
So
it's not necessarily a bad thing.
so I will tell you, this is exact, first of all, I don't know who the National Association of Realtors attorneys were, but I don't think they did a very good job. I think with Redfin, discount brokerages, competition, etc. What I've seen is it's harder to get your client to agree to a 6% versus a 5% or lower commission because the marketplace has made it more competitive, and there's somebody else out there. I know I'm great at my job. I know in my mind, I believe that if you hire me, you're getting the best realtor you can get because I care that much about my clients that I want to make them I want to take care of them as good as I would take care of myself or anyone in my family. I don't know if you can do that being part-time. I also don't know how this decision has done anything other, in my opinion, other than enter caused confusion in the marketplace
It has
for
it
for
has, and
everyone,
that's because it's not
realtors,
clear.
buyers, sellers,
It
lawyers. I'll give you, and my thing is, if it was if it was a litigation, if it was an issue worth litigating, then the result should have been so clear and concise and easy
yeah.
that it couldn't cause
I do
confusion.
find it interesting that in the U and so I was speaking to a broker from Texas the other day, and they're confused as to what they can and cannot do. And it's like, that's really interesting, because when we went through it in 2012, it was, we had to be very clear, and it was on a piece of paper as to what, and people signed off. It was no more, we didn't have to mow it in the front lawn, or
No, no,
it
no,
wasn't any
leave it
question.
leave it on a
Here
note
is
in the lock box. I mean,
yeah.
this is insane, and I see the jokes on social media and I laugh, but I'm like, so what I've told people is, so I don't think it's going to have any real meaningful impact over
No.
time. That's
I
my
think it's
opinion.
gonna
So,
end up being what it was, but with a new piece of paper. I think it's gonna go
but
back, because that's basically what
well,
we
here's the
ended up
thing.
doing here.
Your obligation is to serve your client well. However, that does
Yeah,
not discount your obligation to yourself as a business person to do what is in your best interest to succeed, which,
exactly.
quite honestly, if my goal is to sell my client's property at the best possible price as fast as possible, then getting the most exposure and getting the most people to look at it, meaning, and if people look at it, that means both the public and realtors, because as we know, X number percent, it's higher than 83 of people are represented by a realtor when they go looking or have been. So what it's doing is, I've heard a couple instances where friends of mine have been like, oh, I just had my first person who wouldn't sign my buyer broker's agreement. And I'm like, really? And they're like, the seller was offering 2%. I signed my buyer broker at 2.5%. So they weren't willing to basically pay me the difference, which worked out to like $800. And I'm like, my first thought is, well, maybe that's because they didn't think you added much value to the transaction. And if they thought that you had just saved them $15,000, they probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have mind. So my thing is, and it's always been this, if you truly are confident in what you do and you do bring value with you to buyers, to sellers, investors, developers, whatever, they won't mind paying you. So for example, in commercial real estate, it's not unusual where the buyer gets paid, the buyer's agent get paid by the buyer client, not by the seller's agent. That's not that unusual in
Yeah.
commercial real estate. Obviously, different. Now, I've seen people who have already started offering $1 as the co-op commission, right?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
We
and
are in 2012, our MLS was completely fractured, and we have what's called mere postings, and that is the $1 fee. And that we've been dealing with this since 2012, and it never impacted my income
so
because
here's my question to you. If I, so you have to sign a buyer broker agreement with me, and it's very clear. It says I'm entitled to get paid. It's, I
yeah.
think of it. Do you go to a doctor or a lawyer
Would you go
and
to a
ask?
lawyer and ask for free? I don't want
Right.
to pay you
Well,
per hour.
I, right. And I know a lot of lawyers, what happens is clients, after they get the bill, they're like, oh, can we renegotiate? You know what I mean? So my thing is, if the client thinks that you have done an overwhelmingly good job, they normally don't mind that you've made some money while doing it because you're a professional. We all go to professionals for everything. By the way, specialization of labor is the linchpin to our economy. It's capitalism's,
Yeah.
underlying foundation. We want people to be professionals and be specialized.
Well, and the beauty of aligning with a professional is that it saves you time as the consumer so you can be the professional within your industry. So
Right,
you have an opportunity of you save time, you
right.
save energy because you've aligned with somebody you know that is going to protect you. And that's the key. The buyer brokerages agreement, just so anybody's listening here from the United States, just so you know, Canada, we've been doing this since 2012. And the reality is that it all it did was create clarity and security around fiduciary duty, what can and cannot be disclosed, because you don't want to be treated like a Walmart customer. You want to be treated but like that lawyer's privacy privilege of of that fiduciary duty. So when we sign, when I sign, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but when we sign a buyer's brokerage agreement, we are signing that we will not disclose during the negotiations as to their motivation unless they tell us we can. We will not disclose what their top dollar is. And by the way, I never even ask what's the
No,
top
and
dollar they'll pay.
any good
I don't ever
realtor,
ask that.
like a
But
good
we
lawyer,
don't
you never
disclose
ask
any of
the
that.
question you don't know the answer to or don't want to know the answer to. So when
Yeah,
another agent asks me, well, what is your client willing to do? And I'm like, how could I possibly know that? And they're like, well, don't you
exactly.
ask them? And my answer is, why would I ask my client what are they willing to do when they've told me what their offer is? So I'm like, do
Yep.
you want me to have them bid against themselves? I mean,
Yep.
that's that I'm not doing my job well. My job is to advocate zealously
And
on my client's behalf, not
bingo.
on the other client's
Yeah.
behalf or on the other agent's behalf
Well, and I think
or
the
on the
only
lender's behalf or anyone else's.
well, and we have seen in some different jurisdictions, the only thing that I do see that could be impacted is dual agency. So I have interviewed people from different jurisdictions that dual agency is no longer an option. You have a
You have
you
to
are
choose
either
to be
you
either
have
the
to
buyer's or
choose
seller's
what
agent.
signet what designation you carry, and it has to be visible. So
So,
I
and
do find that
there are ways
interesting.
around that. I have team members. I can
Yeah,
represent the seller. I put one of my team members, they can represent the buyer. They're independently fiduciated to that
exactly.
client. And, so I've done dual agency. It's not a large percentage of my transactions. It's an anomaly more than anything else. Cause honestly, I, it's better for me and my clients when I'm working with another experienced real estate
Exactly.
sales and marketing professional because we can talk turkey to each other. We
Exactly.
can be
Oh,
direct. The point of agency is that I can say something to the seller's agent on the buyer's behalf that the buyer would not necessarily want to say to the seller themselves, right? Because
yeah.
it might cause someone to be ruffled. I really don't like the quality of the storm door you have in the backyard. I mean, it can be little stuff. Why is it painted chartreuse?
Don't even get me going
Right.
on the blue and green should never be seen.
Right. No, no.
So,
Wait, why
although
is
they're back
why is
in,
the cat litter out in the living room? I mean, you've seen if you do this long enough, you've seen it all. I mean, don't even get
including
me
a
started.
naked police officer in one of the houses that I showed once. He didn't hear the his notification go off, and we even rang the doorbell. He happened to be coming off a night shift, and he was in the shower. So, needless to say, I got a hot dude in a towel and a gun running out when I was showing the master bedroom.
So I have some very, very good stories that are not necessarily podcast appropriate
Friendly, yeah.
for
Oh,
what has happened. So
see,
we
even
just had
more
an
of a
open
reason for
house.
me to come.
Yep. We had an open house, a broker open on Friday the 13th last week. Well, actually, almost 2 weeks ago. And it was horror, broker horror stories. Tell me your worst real estate horror story. And they would win a prize. So, and somebody had somebody dead in the in the house that they were showing while they're showing it. And I'm like, well, you
You
win. I mean,
win.
I had some good stuff. But things like at the end of the pandemic, at the end of the last depression, like in 2011, 2012, 2013, there was a lot of foreclosed property in certain areas of the city and suburbs. And one of them that I went in to show, I never had this feeling. I had a terrible feeling. It didn't seem safe. I don't know why, but and I left it. I just was like, I'm like, oh, I'm not going up the stairs. Well, the house had been booby trapped, and apparently somebody else wasn't either as smart or didn't have that feeling.
The
And
Spidey feel.
they got hit with like a screwdriver that was like taped to a piece of wood or whatever, and it like stuck them in the arm, and they had to get. I mean, so I'm like, at that point, I literally had done a post. I'm like, this is crazy. I've never had to fear for my life going into open, empty buildings, and I've been doing it since I was like 5 or 6 years old, and now, all of a sudden, now I have to start worrying that if I go
Yep.
into a building, am I safe?
No,
So,
it's and this is that and that in itself, safety is, I mean, how many we tell our children not to get in cars with strangers, and yet we're going into empty
oh,
buildings with strangers. So, it's an interesting thing. So I do want to ask you community. When I
sure.
say the word community, what does the word community mean to you?
So, community to me is a gathering of people, businesses, buildings, um, space that everyone shares and believes in and works toward improving, maintaining, providing comfort. Um, it's that sense of what I'll call, that when you come home and you relax, that's what I think of as community. They're your support base, they're your sounding board. They help you learn, they help you be a better person, they help you contribute to the needs of the community. Um, you know, so as a former attorney, it really bothered me when the Supreme Court said that corporations were people, right? Corporations are made of people, but they don't have a heart, they don't have a brain, they don't have a body, a corpus. So, but a community does, right? A community, which is an amalgamation
Yeah.
of people, spaces, etc. It does have a heart. It does have a brain, right? It's a living thing. A community is actually a living thing, just like a human being is a living thing.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm a big community advocate. Um, let's talk hidden gems. I know
Sure.
as as a seasoned real estate agent myself that we tend to come across the craziest, coolest stuff out there, and I always love to ask real estate agents what some of their favorite hidden gems are in their market. So give a blatant plug for any friends or clients who have cool
Sure.
coffee shops or bookstores or
So
anything.
one of the best places, and I shop there regularly, it's called Scout in Andersonville. It is a small boutique resale shop that deals with very unique and more high-end furniture, art, pop art, cultural art, collectibles, etc. And I've known them for years. I shop there all the time. Another and that's a pretty unique place. Another hidden gem in Rogers Park, where I live, a couple blocks away, is called Le Piano. It's an old style small bistro, French bistro with live music on what has become sort of our Glenwood Avenue, which is our sort of bar and restaurant strip in our little downtown area. It's really cute. It draws people from all over the city. It has a great reputation. It's very small, so that's literally about as hidden gemmy as you can get. Other hidden gems in the city that most people don't know about. So there is a neighborhood on the west side in Austin, right near Oak Park, and it's called the Midway neighborhood. It's a little pocket of a historic neighborhood, um, very unique, unlike anything else in terms of a historic district in the city, in terms of size and the uniqueness of the architecture and scale. And it's basically around Midway Avenue, not Midway the airport, in Austin. So that's a hidden gem of a neighborhood that almost nobody knows about. Other little hidden gems. So another hidden gem in Edgewater, Andersonville is called, and it's not much of a hidden gem, but it's pretty much a gem. It's called Gethsemane Garden. It's probably the best garden center in the entire city of Chicago. Very well known, but it is the definition of gem. The people there are phenomenal. The service is incredible. I've shopped there forever. It's been there for at least 35, 40 years that I know of, and I'm pretty sure longer, as a successful business. Another neighborhood gem in my neighborhood is JB Alberto's. They are one of the most award-winning pizza places in the city of Chicago. It's family owned and operated since 1965. They actually have the largest pizza. It's a square pizza that's 24 inches, bigger than anything else you've ever seen. It's unbelievable. So that's that, and that is a hidden gem. You cannot eat in the restaurant. You can carry out or order out. So that's sort of a hidden gem. Let me think of something else for you that would work. So in the suburbs, there are lots of little hidden gems. There's a place called Once Upon a Time. It's a bagel place or a sandwich shop. Best deli sandwiches in the suburbs. Service is amazing. Prices are great. You can eat there. They have a number of different locations. They have one in Highland Park, but Once Upon a Grill in Northbrook, one of my favorite places to eat. Other cool, there's
I
so
think that
many.
you need to work for Travelocity or something. Like you've
Oh, I
got
haven't even begun. I
Chicago.
mean, we haven't even got there. So
Well,
I'm a
we
lifelong Chicagoan. I've lived here 60 years and I love to explore. And of course, I'm a realtor, so I go everywhere, right? I
exactly.
drive everywhere. I see everything. I play golf. There are some amazing golf courses in the city and suburbs that no one knows about. That if you go to,
Give
you'd
us the
be
name of
amazed
one.
that there are the
Give us
really great Jackson Park Highlands on the south side. It's a historic one from 1893. I play there most summers on Mondays. You've got the Canal Shores in Wilmette/Evanston. It's right on the Canal River leading out to the lake, and it overlooks the Baha'i Temple, which is an architectural wonder on the North Shore. There's so many places, beaches, restaurants.
so it all around. Like you literally in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, have filled my Saturday shopping, giving me three places to eat at night. Things that a place that I can go to enhance my home's exterior because we know curb appeal, curb appeal, curb appeal. Average person makes up their mind in less than 10 seconds when they pull up
Yep.
to your house. So make sure that garden is done. And and then Sunday golf, right? Like literally, like you have filled my entire lifestyle. And of course, then we have you to help us find us a place in Chicago. Like this
Well,
is like
here's the thing. If you live here, you should live here. And to live here,
Exactly.
one has to experience things, right? So we try, I try and eat at a new place once a month just to try new places, help support local small businesses. We go out to different theaters, movies, plays, live entertainment, music venues. It just depends. Why live in what I consider to be the best big city in the world and not take full advantage of it?
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's part of
What
what I sell is right. We're not just selling the house, we're selling the
No,
lifestyle. So,
the
it, you know,
experience, absolutely.
people are going to live in the house, but they're going to want to do stuff
Yep.
to complete what their lifestyle is.
I 110% agree. 110%. Y When we talk about becoming a real estate agent, we know the statistic shows us that 87% of real estate agents will fail, and we know the reality is 90% of startups fail also. So
Yep.
this is not out of the norm. And the fact that you probably have a better chance of success at being a real estate agent than you would developing a new technology in a startup. So these are realities, folks. But I would like you to share with us one thing that you do on a daily that helps you with your level of success that you could advise other new agents to do.
So, uh, I've got actually a list of 20 things that my team I came up with could do when the market started to slow at the end of 2022. I will tell you the most important thing is to have a schedule and a routine. So be be programmatic in your approach. Business is regimented. So one thing I always do is every morning between 6:30 and 8, before I really hit the business, I'm doing all my planning prep, my to-do list, so that when I hit 8 o'clock and I really start doing my business per se, I had a plan for the day. Because otherwise it's easy to be distracted. So I like do social media almost every morning between 7 and 8 in the morning because that's when it's easy and convenient for me. Post about open houses, but that's me. One of the things that a new agent, and it's tough being a new agent. I've been doing this for 26 years, and I came into it being an attorney, being a developer, having my own pipeline of business to sell. So it was unusual. What I would tell new agents is a confidence. And if you don't believe in yourself, it's hard to get anybody else to believe in you. That's one. And two, given what's happened in the marketplace in terms of the decrease in the overall volume of transactions, I definitely think if you're a new agent, partner or join a team with that is led by experienced agent or agents because you will be mentored day to day. It's like having a mom or a dad who helps you and guides you, but a mom or a dad in the business that you want to be in. So if you're on my team and you're new, I'm talking to you every day to make sure that you're doing what I'm doing. I'm also sharing with you what I do on a daily basis, whether you want to shadow me or whether you want me to give you my itinerary or my plan that I came up with for the day so that you can have an insight into what I'm doing. But again, I've been doing it for 26 years. If I were brand new, I would follow the same steps I did for me because that was my plan. But I tell everybody, you got to be yourself. If you're authentic and you have confidence, people buy into that. People love authenticity and people respond to confidence. Now, if you're new, authenticity is easy, be yourself. Confidence, sometimes it's, fake it till you make it. But what I will tell you is know your business, know your marketplace. So if you want to sell someone's $500,000 condo, you better be, and it's the first one you've ever sold, you better be able to impress them, not with your record of success, but with your passion, your confidence, and your knowledge of the marketplace, which is data. Understand market time, understand pricing things right in the environment, understand seasonality. Spring and fall are not the same, right? People don't necessarily realize this, but 65 or 75% of the transactions happen in the first half of the year. The last 6 months of the year have only 30 to 35%. So there are less buyers, there's less activity. Be smart,
Yeah.
plan ahead. I'm always thinking 6 to 12 months ahead for pipeline. Think of yourself as Johnny Appleseed. If you're constantly planting seeds, some of those will eventually germinate into a tree that will throw off business for you,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
They say
Takes time.
always be closing, but a new agent can't always be closing because they don't have it. But what you should do is always be prospecting, always be networking. You're your number one brand ambassador. Talk about real estate. If someone hears you talk about real estate, you might pick them up as a client. You might do it at the grocery store, at the dry cleaner. I've picked up clients walking my dog because they knew I was a realtor, but even if they didn't, they'd be like, so what do you do? And I tell them, hey, I'm a realtor and real estate developer. And, tell me more. And, oh, I've got this property. I've not known what to do with it. You never know. Every interaction is an opportunity to build your business. And if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to succeed. You can be, everybody can,
Don't be an undercover agent. Don't be an undercover agent. If you have shame in it, don't do it. Move on. So,
and interact with people. This is a people business. You can't just get a client by sitting there. If you're at sit at open houses. Now more than ever, I will tell you, the one level playing field in real estate is if you're an agent sitting in an open house.
Yep.
You do not
And
have to have a buyer broker agreement, right?
Yep.
And that person is and I will tell you, I've seen it this year and the last year more than ever. There are more unrepresented buyers going to open houses now than we've ever seen. That is fertile ground.
Absolutely.
They are untethered fish in a barrel. Fish them, right? I mean,
they want to be. They want your help. They're showing up. They're curious. They want your help. So,
and you're supposed to be a real estate expert.
Yeah.
Be their expert. Know
Absolutely.
the data. Know something. How do you add value if you do not know something more than your client knows? Why do they need you if you don't know more than they know?
And Rich, we can find you on all your socials, right? So you're on Facebook and LinkedIn
and Instagram. Yep.
And that's Rich's
and
last
I'm
name.
on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel. I'm on the American Dream Selling Chicago. I do tons of my own video and social media posts because I like video. I think it's easier to be expressive, right? If you just show pictures, excuse me, no matter how good the pictures are, they don't emote to the same degree as a human being does. We are emotional beings. Use your skills, use your knowledge, use your emotions to help your client.
And if you're just listening to this, because we know that approximately 70% of all podcasts are still audible, it is Rich Aronson, Aronson. And his website is the AV Group. You got a great logo, totally matches your vibe.
It's a Chicago street sign, right? I mean, it's the colors and by the way, there are more streets, avenues, etc., than any other designation, right? And the more you know, and this is literally in Chicago real estate, one neighborhood can be completely different, one street to the next.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's the uniqueness of Chicago.
And that's the .net. So it's
the avgroup.net.
.net. Absolutely. All righty. Well, folks, like I said, I like to keep this on time so you can consume it on your drive or while you're doing your laundry. And you know what? I can't thank you enough, Rich, for sharing your time, your insight, your knowledge. We will be circling back around, and I am coming to Chicago because we are going to go and
look me up, and we'll go have a heck of a dinner at one of the great places.
Absolutely. Until then, you know what? If you're in real estate and you're questioning what's going on, do some research, check it out. And if you're looking to buy or sell and you're looking in the Chicago area, I absolutely recommend my friend Rich here. And until next time, you know what? Be good to yourself.
All righty. Great seeing you. Have a good one.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share.